Hello everyone and happy Valentine's Day. Welcome to my very first reaction video is called Coming to the USA Saved My Life. Made by minutevideos.
Deep down, I always knew that I was a bit different. I just knew that I was different from my peers somehow, and that I was always really fascinated by girls. But it's not like there was a moment that I could single out that I knew I liked girls. There isn't like an aha moment that many straight people think there is. There's just that moment when you stop pushing down certain feelings, and when you start to look for answers to certain questions. When I was a child, we moved from the Netherlands to a small town in Serbia. To my surprise, I learned that this little town was, and still is, very close-minded and homophobic. From the beginning, I was already being bullied because my Serbian wasn't great, because I dressed differently, and because I behaved differently. But I also felt it. I was different. I just didn't really understand what that meant, but I was also not too happy about it. When I was 13, I met a girl who soon became the answer to all the questions I had for myself. She openly told me that she was bisexual, and that she thought that I was cute. She kissed me, and all of a sudden I felt all the things my female friends told me they felt when they would kiss their boyfriends. I never felt butterflies in my stomach like that before. I was completely blown away. But I quickly realized that what I should have felt was fear. I live in a country where you can be killed for being in love with someone who is the same gender as you. The first person I ever came out to was my little brother. He had a great reaction. But I never doubted that he'd love me any less, or that he wouldn't accept me. I was more concerned about the rest of my family, my parents especially. I didn't have the nerve to tell them, so I stayed in the closet for a couple more years. I avoided thinking about girls, and I kept telling myself, just be normal, because I wanted to fit in, so I kept pushing it down, until I couldn't push it down anymore. It all fell apart when I met the girl who would later become my first girlfriend. After I met her, I started coming out to more and more people. I met people who were also part of the LGBTQ community, and I started to feel a bit safer, like I wasn't alone in all of this. However, in a small town, everyone knows everything, and people started to talk about me. It didn't help that all of a sudden I had short hair and started dressing a bit more boyish. I really wanted to tell my parents, but I really couldn't. I tested out the waters one day by asking my father what he would do if my brother was gay. He answered, I would disown him. Any idea of me willingly coming out to my parents was shattered. In the end, I didn't really have a choice. They found out from a blog that I had, which clearly stated that I was in a relationship with a girl. When they asked me about it, I was terrified. I started shaking and crying. Eventually, all I managed to get out was that I was bisexual. They were so mad. So much so that I realized I couldn't get any worse than that anyway. I felt like I had nothing left to lose, so I just told them that I was gay. They were even madder. For some reason, they thought that if they grounded me, I would stop liking girls. My girlfriend lived in another town, so I had to lie extensively to be able to see her. From the day that I told them that I was gay, that was what my relationship with my parents had become. Lies. Every single day. Lies. I was terrified of them, but I also hated them for not being able to accept something that I never chose. I needed them, and they weren't there for me. I had to hide everything. I had to delete every single message, every single picture, and my browser history every single day. My relationship with my dad deteriorated the most. I took it really hard at the beginning because as a child, I thought of him as my superhero. In total, I think I came out to my father over 50 times, and it broke his heart every single time. He would get mad and he would tell me that this isn't the life that I wanted to live. He wasn't wrong though. Not only did I not feel safe in my own home, I didn't feel safe anywhere. In 2 separate incidents, I could have easily lost my life just because I like girls. The first time was when I went to a store and there was a few older guys in there that I knew from primary school. As I was standing in the middle of the aisle looking over my list, they started yelling things. First, I heard things like, "Filthy lesbian," but I ignored them. As I finished buying what I wanted and walked out, I saw that there were even more of them in front of the store. I put my head down and I started walking in the direction of my house. All of a sudden, I heard steps of multiple people running. As I turned around, I realized that they were running towards me and that a couple of them were even carrying bricks. I was immediately in fight or flight mode. I chose flight because I was terrified. They yelled horrible and disgusting things about what they would do to me. Luckily, I made it home safe, but I was never the same after that. The second time, a group of guys pulled a knife on me because they were sure that there was something wrong with either my gender identity or my sexual identity. I knew one thing for sure. I had to get away. Away from my parents, away from this town, away from these people. I applied to an exchange program and got the full scholarship to go to America. I had amazing host parents, my host mom especially. She took me to my first lesbian wedding. I think it was her way to say that it was okay for me to come out to her. When I did, she had the reaction I wish my parents had. We cried and hugged. It was a moment that I would cherish forever. Activism and support from my friends is what saved me. All of a sudden, the fact that I liked girls wasn't something weird or odd. It was normal. As time went by, I accepted myself more and more, and my relationship with my mother got better. I hated myself for too long for something that I have no control over. I went from being a depressed teenager to someone who didn't look for acceptance anymore because I accepted myself. Everyone finds inspiration and hope in different things. I found hope in the amazing LGBTQ people that I met when I was a teenager. I found hope in celebrities coming out and sharing their experience. I found hope in watching Rose and Rosie on YouTube. I found hope when I watched LGBTQ movies and TV shows that had LGBTQ characters. Everyone fights their own battle, and every battle is different, and some of us spend our whole lives fighting or denying who we really are. The phrase "it gets better" is something we often say in the LGBTQ community. I hated hearing it at first, but it's actually true. It took about 8 years for both of my parents to accept me, and it was a long and hard journey, but it was worth it. I wish that I could tell myself at 15 when I was crying on the bathroom floor because I wasn't normal, that it really will get better. Self-love is the most powerful thing you can do for yourself, so love yourself and be proud of who you are.
The video is done, and now my opinion on this video, and I really don't like that ugly lesbian person, and really don't like the part 2 ugly girls kiss each other. And why the FCK she dress like a boy and she shouldn't wear boys' clothes. The family should kick her out the house for being lesbian. She need get straight to get a boyfriend instead of girlfriends. Thanks for watching, and also I'm joining Discord soon.